What's up guys, it's Bye here and welcome to another Rise of Kingdoms video, the Commander Pairing Tier List series. In today's videos, I will share with you guys who are the best commander pairing for KvK Season 2. Remember, this list is for KvK Season 2, so a lot of commanders are not usable in this KvK. For example, Grand U are not usable, Attila is not usable, Takeda not usable, and many of the new commander for cavalry, they are not here as well. So just keep that in mind. This list is for KvK Season 2. And first thing first, I wanna give a shout out for Kingdom 1636. Uh, they helped me get my first ever win for KvK Season 2. Yay! So we won our KvK Season 2, and 1636 been doing really good. In terms of like fighting as well in terms of like uh the kingdom leadership. So I am very happy with the kingdoms. And like our performance in ZKVK is pretty good. Hopefully we can continue working on uh what we've been doing really well at, and go and do better in the next KvK, which is KvK season 3, called Be a Life of Darkness KvK. As you can see here, like we push our enemy back to their home kingdom now, so they are not in KvK map anymore. In KvK map now is just us and our allies. So very well done, 1636. And in this KvK season 2, I spent about like 20 to like 30 hours fighting. If you watch one of my live stream, which I stream for like 16 hours, so 16-hour fighting right there. I also spent some other time fighting for some other event as well. So the list is based on my experience, like who I fought with and what commander did I use. So uh, feel free, like you can agree or disagree with the list. Just put it out there. But I will explain to you guys why do I think the commander are at that tier. So let's go right into it. So today I will do it a little bit different. I will rank the commander pairing from bottom up. So a little different. Like previously, I just do a randomly, just pick whatever, and then I just put them in the rank. So today it's just a little bit different today. So A, at rank A, we have Genghis Khan and Belly Serious at rank 8. So Genghis Khan, a little squishy, but with Belly Serious, he can provide a little bit more defense stats there and can help Genghis Khan tank a little bit more on the open field. And Belly Serious provide a very nice debuff. So very good marches there. We have next one we have in the A tier is Genghis Khan and Chow Chow's, a very high single target DPS march, but very squishy. Uh, good enough to be A, good enough to be A rank, but try to avoid use it a pair if you can. Like you don't want to bring like a glass cannon to an open field. Next one we have is at A rank. We have Genghis Khan and YSE. Could be A or A plus. Like the problem with Genghis Khan and YSE is that like again like very squishy marches here. Very high skill damage, but doesn't have a lot of like cavalry stat boosts. Like Genghis Khan only have a like damage increase stat boost. Like he doesn't have any raw cavalry stat boost there. So uh very squishy, like very high DPS, but like again another glass cannon pairing here. I don't recommend to bring Zit Marsh to like the open field unless you have no other choices. So those are the three pair for tier 8. Next up we have a A plus, and the first one we have for A plus a Airto Flat and Constantine. Airto Flat is a very good support. Her debuff is super nice. So we have two support marches here, Airto Flat and Constantine. Constantine also provide an amazing like buff as well, minus 10% damage reduction. Very very nice. Uh, very nice re-engine there and very good support march. Just the only issue is that like Ethelflaed is a very big target on the open field. Like she an easy target, I would say, not just easy, but as well as like, she got a lot of like attention. Like when people see her on the open field, they are most likely going to target her. So that if you want to use her primary, uh, but again, like a very good support matches here with like good debuff. Next one we have another one with Ethelflaed as a primary and Julius Caesar as secondary here. Julius Caesar can bring in more troop capacity, more damage reduction, as well as more defense as well. Very decent. Like I love using this pair for my KvK Season 2 because Ethelflaed is a very good primary. Ignore the fact that she got targeted quite often. When you use Ethelflaed with Julius Caesar, you take less damages because you can tank a little bit more because Julius Caesar bring in more tube capacity, damage reduction, and more defense. So especially with like Ethelflaed support talent tree, she can cast her skill very often, which also means that Julius Caesar can cast his active skill very often as well. So his active skill increase tube defense and attack for 20% for 5 seconds, as well as increase the overall damage for 30%. So very nice skill there. If you pair Julius Caesar with a support commander, he can cast that skill very often. So one of very good pairs that I use for KvK Season 2. Next one we have is Genghis Khan and Mermaid. Again, like Genghis Khan Mermaid could be either A plus or A. Another glass cannon here. Mermaid can give him more tube capacity, that like a bonus there. But both of the commander have absolutely no defense whatsoever for cavalry. But very high skill damage though. Mermaid 20% skill damage boost work for both commanders, and he also has that 20% attack boost as well, can work for any troop type, which including cavalry. So could be either A plus or A. Again, like not a very not one of the March commander pairings that I recommend people to use because you don't have any defense. Like and in match PvP, you need that defense for you to survive. Next one on the list we have is Prince Edward and Mermaid. So Archer and Archer Marches here. Prince Edward, like pretty like decent tanky Archer commanders. With Mermaid here, more troop capacity, skill damage working for both commander as well. They just don't have that sustainability and the tanky they need it for to be a higher tier. Could be either A plus or S minus, I would say. And again, like I'm not seeing a lot of like Archer players like in KvK Season 2. Like, I barely see any people using Archer at all. Next one we have at A plus a Genghis Khan and Sanzu. Both commander can deal very high skill damages. Sanzu also bring in that 20% skill damage bonus, which work for both commanders. Sanzu also has that 10% damage reduction, which is very good, very much needed for Genghis Khan because he's very squishy. And Sanzu worked very well in mass PvP because of his first active skill. The more target he hits, the more rage he will regenerate. So we have very good rage mechanism there. But he can regain a lot of rage if you if you can manage to hit like more than like 3 or 4 targets at the time. So another good pair there. Next one we have is at A plus we have a Saladin and Belisarius. So Saturn is tanky. Adding in more belly series can be even more tanky there. But belly series is not a very high skill damage commander, but he also has that very nice debuff, which can work very well. With Saladin, you can just last a lot longer on the open field, and you can provide that constant debuff on the enemy. So another very good pair there at A plus. And at S minus, we have first one a Constantine and Junderberg, one of the best support pairing in the game, like till now, like hand down the best support marches you could possibly get. Very nice buff there from both commanders. Very much needed on the open field. Like if you like a team players, you need to bring Junderberg and Constantine. Next one we have at S minus a Richter and Chormatel is a very tanky march. I would say super tanky marches there. You can play very aggressive with these marches here, but the damage output is not super high. So like if you like if you cannot afford to like heal, I would say if you like your hospital is somewhat like close to be full and you can only run like one or two marches. Richter and Chormatel might be one of the best choice you can bring out on the open field because they don't take a lot of damage and they don't take a lot of severe wounded as well, and you can still enjoy the game, still have fun. But don't expect a lot of kill from Zit Marches here because they are very tanky. The damage output is not super high. Next one we have at S minus is Prince Edward and YSG, two archer commander here. YSG again crazy AoE skill damages. Edward pretty decent tank for like an archer commander there. So decent pairing. They just lack that sustainability because both of the commander doesn't have any sort of like healing ability that can regenerate. That can bring their like slightly severe wounded troop back on the open field. So using Prince Edward and YSE means that you have to constantly refreshing your marches all the time. Next one at S minus we have is Saladin and Chow Chow. So both are carry commander here. Saladin again very good primary commander, very tanky. Chow Chow very high DPS, single DPS, with a good debuff as well on a single target. And when Chow Chow using high Saturn, Saturn can make up for that minus like 10% defense from his from Chow Chow expertise. Pretty solid, would say pretty solid marches on the open field. Next on at S minus we have Genghis Khan and Julius Caesar. So as I said before, like Genghis Khan is very squishy, and Julius Caesar he can bring in that troop capacity, extra defense, damage reduction, which is very much needed for Genghis Khan, especially consider how Genghis Khan often gets swarmed on the open field. Julius Caesar can help him last a little bit longer there, and Julius Caesar and Genghis Khan can cast his skill very fast as well. So like when Genghis Khan casts his active skill, probably after 2 seconds, Julius Caesar go cast his active skill as well, which can increase the overall damage by 30%. And then after Julius Caesar casting his active skill, for 3 or 4 seconds after Julius Caesar casting his active skill, Genghis Khan gonna be able to cast his active skill again. So he can get that extra 30% damage bonus from Julius Caesar as well. So a very decent commander pairing there. Next one we have at S minus a Richter and Joan of Arc. Very good tank, I would say. Like can tank not as super tanky as like Richter and Chormatel, but Richter and Joan of Arc is still very tanky. Like Joan of Arc rage engine, like crazy rage engine. Every time she casts her skill, you can gain back 200 rage, and that can help a Richter can cast his skill a lot more frequently as well. So he can debuff the enemy more frequently, and he can also heal back a lot more. So a very, very good tank market there with very, very good support. Next one we have at S minus a Prince Edward and Julius Caesar again. Julius Caesar work very, very well with pretty much any troop type. So you can use him as a secondary commander with some of the commanders that you think you might need a little bit more defense, a little bit more like tankiness for that pair. So Prince Edward and Julius Caesar can tank, I would say, for an archer pair. Next one we have also at S minus a Saladin and Joan of Arc. Saladin with the support talent tree plus with Joan of Arc, a crazy rage engine, you gotta be able to provide that crazy like constant buff on the open field, as well as you gotta be able to constantly casting your active skill on the enemy, because like Saladin support talent tree, crazy rage engine there, plus with Joan of Arc, like plus 200 rage every time you cast a skill. That's crazy. So you can like Saturn can cast his active skill a lot more frequent with Joan of Arc. So that is S minus. Actually, there are a few more. So next one we have a also at S minus a Richer and Aethelflaed there. Richer is very, very good debuff on the open field, like very, very tanky. Aethelflaed also by far has one of the best debuff in the game. Another reason why she often got like target very a lot on the open field, because her debuff is like super, like I would say scary, like minus 30% health, 30%. Let me check here just to be sure. So Aethelflaed's active skill reduce the attack, defense, and health by 30% for 2 seconds. So her debuff work on like not like a single target debuff, an AoE debuff, and for 2 seconds, your march gonna lose 30% attack, 30% defense, and 30% health. That is crazy. Like she probably has one of the best debuff in the game. A crazy debuff there. And so when you pair Aethelflaed as secondary with Richer, you can like avoid her from getting hit, and you can hide her behind Richer, and you don't get target very, very like frequently, and you can still provide that like amazing debuff there from both commanders, not just Aethelflaed, like Richer as well. Next one we have is Saladin and Mermaid. Saladin, again, very good primary for cavalry there. Mermaid work very, very well with a lot of commanders that can deal very, very high skill damage, because Mermaid also has that plus 20% skill damage bonus. He also has that plus 20% attack boost, as well as plus 10% troop capacity, which work pretty well with any commanders. So you can put him as secondary for a lot of commanders out there. And with this pair here, very, very high skill damage, decent amount of AoE skill damages, and you can just get a lot of kill. Like you can get a lot of kill with this pair here. And one of the reasons why they are at S minus. Next one we have at S minus also a Saladin and Sanzu. So you might ask, how come Sanzu, like how come Saladin and Sanzu, like a legendary and an epic pairing, can be at the same tier as Saladin and Mermaid? Like Sanzu is very, very strong, especially in mass PvP. 10% damage reduction work pretty well for any commanders. But the most, like the scariest about Sanzu is his active skill. The more target he can hit, his active skill can hit up to 5 targets. And if he can hit 5 targets all the time. Every time he hit 5 targets, he going to get back that 250 rage every time. So we can have a crazy rage engine there. And when you pair Saladin with Sanzu, and if you can, like, if you play aggressively, you can get a lot of rage back from this pairing here, and you can cast your active skill very frequently. Consider how fast like Saladin can cast his skill already with his support talent tree. Adding in Sanzu rage engine, you're going to cast your skill like constantly every 6-7 seconds. So one of the reason why Saturn and Sanzu can be at the same tier as Saturn and Mermaid there. Sanzu is just as good as many like legendary commander when it comes to like open field fighting. So that is for the S minus tier. Let's go to the S tier here. First one we have in the S tier is Saladin and YSG. Very high skill damage pairing here, and very good amount of AoE skill damage as well. Like hiding YSG behind Saturn can avoid you from getting target, and you can just keep like killing a lot of marches surrounding you with your YSG skill. YSG 50% skill damage work really well for both commander. Like both of these commander can be benefit from that 50% skill damages, and Saturn support talent tree, crazy rage engine. So these two commander can just like dish out so much skill damages, a lot of skill damages, I would say. Next one we have at S tier a Richter and YSG. We have a super tank commander here pairing with a very high AoE skill damage commander. So again, you got the idea of like hiding your very high skill damage commander behind one of your like tank commander here. Very sustainable. So with Zit March, you can sustain, you can last very long on the open field. And the longer you be out there, like the more damage you will deal. You don't have to refresh very frequently because Richter can just keep bringing back all of those like slightly severe wounded march, and you can just keep like fighting on the open field for the longest time. Next one we have Richter and Sanzu. Again, you might ask, how come Richter and Sanzu be on the same tier as Richter and YSG? Do we have to explain again? Sanzu have a crazy rage engine when it comes to the mass open field. Like his active skill is very scary, and against with that damage, 10% damage reduction and 10% health, that like the additional bonus there. When you compare to like Richter and YSG, like YSG doesn't bring much to the pair except for that crazy high AoE skill damages. But when you bring Richter and Sanzu, Sanzu can bring AoE skill damage, damage reduction, and more health, and rage engine, like crazy rage engine. That is the reason why Richter and Sanzu is just as good as Richter and YSG. Next one we have on the list for S tier is Alex and YSG here. A very high like attack pair with very high skill damages. So Alex is a very strong infantry commander here. And also at S tier we have Alex and Sanzu as well. Again, like I don't need to explain again like why Sanzu is up here as the S tier. Next one we have is Chormatel and Sanzu. Do I need to explain again why? Chormatel like very strong primary commander, and Sanzu again crazy rage engine, tanky, very nice AoE skill damage. Just very good on the open field. Next march we have for the open field at S tier is Saladin and Druid Sailor. So for an older KvK, you might use like a super tanky march, which is Saladin and Takeda. But in KvK Season 2, like if you want to tank with your carry marches, one of the commander pairings you can use is Saladin and Julius Caesar. Uh, Saturn very tanky. Plus with Julius Caesar, uh, you can get more damage reduction, more troop capacity, more defense as well, and you can on top of that you can deal a lot more damage because Saturn have very good rage engine, and when you pair Saturn with Julius Caesar, uh, he's gonna be able to benefit from Julius Caesar active skill because he can cast his skill very frequently. So when Julius Caesar casts his active skill for 5 seconds, you're going to get that 30% damage bonus. And in that 5 seconds, Saladin is going to cast his active skill again because that's like whole like skill casting cycle. So he's gonna be able to cast the skill somewhere from a 4 to 5 seconds after Julius Caesar casting his skill. So he's going to get that plus 30% damage increase. So very good pairing here. Very tanky for cavalry. Next one we have a S tier, could be S or S minus, which is Saladin and Genghis Khan. Two very strong cavalry commander, I would say. Saladin make up for the lack of defense from Genghis Khan. He can also hide Genghis Khan behind him so that people don't see Genghis Khan, so they don't target him very often. And the pairing here have very high skill damage and very high like normal and counter attack damage as well. And if you know how to use Genghis Khan well, if you can refresh your march every 7, when you before you go below 70%, you will be able to max out the damage output from this pair here, like very high damages. So that is it for the S tier. And for S plus tier, first one is my all-time favorite commander pairing, Charm Metal and YSG. Very mobilized, very tanky, a lot of AoE skill damages, and sustainable on the open field as well. You might ask why Charm Metal and YSG is higher than Witcher and YSG. And I can tell you that it's because of the march speed there. Richer is a bit too slow. Sometimes you just take you a much longer time to get to where you want him to be, especially like it's like it's hard to explain, but like if you use E2 commander, you will understand like why you would prefer to use Charmatel YSE over a Richer and YSE. Like the march speed is really nice to have, and Charmatel is I would say a little more offensive, like have a little more offensive skill more than Richard. So like, if you more like an offensive players, you would most likely go with Charmatel and YSG. And I think that's the reason why I put him as S plus tier. Uh, Next one for the S plus tier is Prince Edward and Palmeritz. Um, like you probably wouldn't see these two commanders used a lot in KvK Season 2 unless your KvK have a lot of like immigrants. But they are a very strong commander pairing on the open field. Tanky and very nice debuff from Palmeritz. Next one, I think the last one, probably, yep, this is the last one on the list. For the S plus tier is Richard and Alex, two infantry commanders, very tanky. And when you use Richard with Alex, Alex gives you that 30% march speed. So your Richard is not like slacking behind anymore. And unlike Richard and Traumatel, like Richard and Alex can have very high damage output because Alex have very high infantry attack stat boost, as well as his second skill can deal a very decent amount of skill damage depend on your luck. So a very high single target damage here for infantry commanders, and they last very long on the field. and you can play super aggressive with Z March, Z pair here. So Z A, okay, so there is no carry commander pairing in the S plus tier for KvK Sinju. Unfortunately, I just don't think any of the carry commanders can perform well enough to be at the top at the S plus tier here. So this is what I think for KvK Season 2 Commander tier list. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. You can agree or disagree. Thanks for watching, guys.